Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now Desk. Thanks for joining us here on this Thursday, May the 4th, about 8 o'clock here on our Thursday morning. Another chilly start here. We've had these cold mornings that we've been seeing the last couple of days, really all week, but they've turned into some pretty nice days, and that is probably what we're expecting again here today as we take a look at what Tim set up for us so nicely. This is the 7-day for the week. As you can see, 77 today, the high, mostly sunny. Not looking at a lot of rain in the forecast today. That is all good news. We're talking about some of our top headlines here, some of the big stories going around in our area and beyond. We start off with one kind of in our area, but also not. It's some breaking news that if you watched our morning show this morning, you know what we're talking about. A Burke County man has been arrested following a standoff in North Carolina around 2 o'clock this morning. Officers say Jerry Flakes Jr. was arrested at the Walmart in Wallace. They say they don't know why he was there, but they did recover a car he stole in Georgia yesterday. They say surveillance video shows Flakes walking to the loading docks, pointing a rifle at a truck driver. They say he told the truck driver to get in the truck. The driver turned around and ran away after he dropped his keys on the ground. That's when officers say Flakes tried to drive the truck away, and then a 4-hour standoff started. Once Flakes pointed his rifle at them, that's when they fired at him 5 times. They say he fell from his seat, and officers rushed to give aid and secure that gun. Flakes was taken to the hospital for minor injuries. None of the officers were injured in that incident. Flakes has been charged with robbery with a dangerous weapon and more. We're working to learn more information on this, so we will, of course, keep you updated when we do. On the 1-year anniversary, excuse me, I had the wrong picture up for a second here. Okay. On the 1-year anniversary of an Aiken murder, authorities tell us they've arrested a second suspect here. Freddie Simpkins, charged with the murder of Charles Bradley, who was shot in his car last May near the intersection of Hampton Avenue and Assembly Street. Now Simpkins is behind bars facing charges of murder, possession of a firearm during the commission of a violent crime, and other offenses. Following up now with a story we first broke yesterday morning. The Richmond County Coroner's Office tells us a 36-year-old named Garrett Stroud was hit by a car near mile marker 14 on the Bobby Jones Expressway on Wednesday. And Richmond County deputies tell us Stroud died at the scene just before 5 a.m. An arrest after an hours-long manhunt for the man who shot 5 women in Midtown Atlanta. Midtown was on lockdown for 3 hours after a deadly shooting at a medical building yesterday afternoon. Police say right after the shooting, the suspect stole the car and escaped. Mark Strassman tells us police arrested the suspect in Cobb County after an extensive manhunt.
Police say this is 24-year-old Dion Patterson, accused of opening fire inside an Atlanta medical building.
Female shot, she's seriously bleeding, shot in the side and the back.
1 person was killed, 4 others injured. All 5 were women, ranging in age from 25 to 71.
Within minutes, we had multiple trauma surgeons, multiple staff in the trauma bay itself.
Authorities captured Patterson several hours after the shooting.
We are able to bring this suspect into custody without further harm. He will be charged and stand trial for his crimes.
Sources tell CBS News the suspect became agitated while waiting for his appointment. He then took out a handgun and started shooting. KJ Johnson heard the violence from 2 floors below.
We did hear some popping noise that we didn't know what the popping noise was, so originally we just ignored it.
A law enforcement source says Patterson, a Coast Guard veteran, is on medication for mental health issues. Police believe he stole a car and fled the area after the shooting.
We behave as if this is normal.
Georgia Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock called on Congress to take action on gun legislation.
We're not safe at concerts. We're not safe at banks. We're not safe at parades. We're not safe in our own yards and in our own homes. And now, today, we can add medical facilities to that list.
According to the Gun Violence Archive, this is the 190th mass shooting in the U.S. this year. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
And Patterson's mother was actually with him in that medical center. She was not shot. The Coast Guard says he joined in 2018 and was discharged from active duty at the beginning of this year. As the entire country debates on gun control, state lawmakers in South Carolina are getting ready to vote on the constitutional carry bill. It would allow people to carry guns without any training or permit in the state. Our Taylor Martin sat down with a local firearms trainer to get his thoughts on the constitutional carry bill.
It's what the future of concealed carry could look like in South Carolina. It's called the South Carolina Constitutional Carry Act, and it's similar to the Georgia Constitutional Carry Act that went into effect January 1st of this year. And the man that I talked to who does firearms training says he's not opposed to it. In April of last year, Governor Kemp signed into law the Georgia Constitutional Carry Act, giving Georgians what he says is the ability for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves without having to ask permission from state government. A move some Georgians say was a step in the right direction.
I really applaud Governor Kemp for making that happen, because what constitutional carry does is allows everybody to be able to arm themselves. And in today's current threat environment, it's important to be able to defend yourself.
But South Carolina leaders like Senator Shane Massey fear the bill could have consequences on the other side of the river. The conservative lawmaker posted on Facebook where he stands on the vote. It's important that we know when we can shoot and, more importantly, when we can't. It's important that we can demonstrate at least a minimal proficiency in handling the weapon, how to hold it, how to load it, and how to fire it. Firearms trainer Gary Slater knows all too well how important training is, but he says it shouldn't be a barrier to someone's ability to protect themselves.
It's best not to make a $500, $600 mistake. It's best to go get some training. I love the fact that the constitutional carry bill allowed people that could not afford to get training to arm themselves.
For now, the South Carolina Constitutional Carry Act is in the Senate committee. The bill passed the South Carolina State House in February and is just waiting on that Senate vote.
All righty, thanks for that, Taylor. The suspect accused of murdering 13-year-old Buddy Brown is in custody. U.S. Marshals arrested him hundreds of miles away, actually in central Pennsylvania. 14 days ago now, we told you they were looking for Gregory Thornton up in the northeast. The shooting happened downtown at the Richmond Summit Apartments. Police say Thornton was staying in Augusta when it happened, then he ran away to Baltimore. The FBI and U.S. Marshal Service were going to serve a warrant last month at his apartment just outside Baltimore when he ran and led police on a high-speed chase. The U.S. Marshals Service says they found him east of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, just north of Maryland. Now, the gunman took Buddy's life when he stepped outside of his apartment building one night to grab a DoorDash order. His friends and family told us he loved being around his family, was protective, and had an infectious smile. And for Buddy's family, yesterday's arrest is a small step towards justice. Our Hallie Turner spoke with the family.
Yeah, the news comes with a wave of emotions because it wasn't from law enforcement that told Buddy's family that Thornton is behind bars. They say they haven't heard from them in months. It was News 12 who gave Anita a call.
After 6 weeks, Buddy Brown's family finally received the call they have been waiting on. From News 12 reporter Will Rio.
Oh, I was so happy. I told him, I said, God bless you and thank you. He really been working for the family.
The U.S. Marshal Service says they found Buddy's killer east of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. But Buddy's grandmother says she never got a call from law enforcement about it.
Like they didn't kill nobody.
She says she hasn't heard a word from Richmond County investigators in weeks.
The last time you talked to Richmond County was when?
4 days after Buddy had got murdered, and I haven't heard anything then.
No answers about his killer led to constant worry.
I'm up half of the night looking at the one the scene. Is anybody gonna come and break in the house? Worry about my grandchildren, worry about my daughters, worry about my sons, my grandson. You know, I was just scared for our life. I really was.
Unfortunately, it's a fear that's gripped her before. 23 years ago, her son, Buddy's uncle Derek, was murdered in Burke County.
It brought back a lot of memories. But like it just had me choked up inside, and I said, Lord, please don't let me die. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I really was.
She says she knows her grandson left this place trying to protect those around him.
Got a feeling I believe Buddy was trying to protect everybody. He was probably fighting with Thornton.
The U.S. Marshal Service tells us Thornton will be extradited back here to Georgia to face murder charges.
Okay, thanks for that, Hallie, and hopefully that family can sleep a little bit easier at night knowing Thornton is behind bars. A CrossFit gym is packing up after one of its owners was arrested for child molestation. The victim, just 15 years old, had been training at his gym. All of this coming to light after his wife turned him in to authorities. Our Nick Velan tells us more about the investigation.
Well, a moving truck came by earlier today to start packing up some things, and some business neighbors tell us that the gym has been quiet since Monday. No really classes have been taking place, and they started packing up the gym starting yesterday, and that's all when the news broke of this CrossFit coach. Doors open to being shut and finally driving away. All after deputies arrested the owner of Bear CrossFit and charged him with molestation on Monday. Bags are looking like they're being packed and equipment is being disassembled. The sign says CrossFit for everyone, but that was the gym's name before Scott Page bought it and took it over in December. The new name is Bear CrossFit, but the doors weren't even open long enough for them to change the sign. The police report says Scott's wife, Lauren, turned Scott in after coming home on Monday and catching Scott with a 15-year-old who went to the gym where Scott coached. According to the report, the first sign started in January when Lauren says she wanted to give Scott another chance and says that Scott didn't want to go to jail. We reached out to the Columbia County Sheriff's Office to see if staying quiet until now could mean charges for his wife, but the Sheriff's Office says she's not facing charges. Owners of other CrossFit gyms are worried that this could hurt their businesses too and give CrossFit a bad name, but they want to make sure that everyone knows CrossFit gyms are independently run. They are not connected with Scott's gym. All you have to do is pay an affiliation fee to be a CrossFit gym. And the other businesses in this area say that it has been a lot quieter since Monday, and the foot traffic has lessened because they're used to this CrossFit gym bringing in foot traffic throughout multiple times throughout the day. And we'll continue to follow this case and keep you updated every step of the way.
Okay, thanks for that update there, Nick. Some details on the Wellstar AU Health merger. The name Wellstar may sound familiar. Their Atlanta Medical Center was one of the few level 1 trauma centers in Georgia before they suddenly closed their doors. After the closure, Augusta University Medical Center became one of only 4 level 1 trauma centers in the entire state. Wellstar will become the sole corporate member of AU Health. They'll spend nearly $800 million with the deal over the next 10 years. Millions of those dollars will be used to build the new Columbia County Hospital and moving the current surgery center. $200 million will be used for the AU Medical Center campus. They also will switch over to the new state electronic health records system. In the agreement, Wellstar has a 40-year contract with the University System of Georgia Board of Regents. That's who oversees AU Health System. In the first 10 years of the deal, if Wellstar tries to sell or transfer its stake in the Medical College of Georgia, the Board of Regents will have the right of first refusal, meaning they'll get the first chance to acquire the assets. Audits show AU Health has lost $63 million overall since 2017, and they've been looking for a partner since 2019. So this deal looks like it'll help out AU financially. Celebrating a new dual enrollment program in Columbia County. Yesterday, leaders from Augusta University and the Columbia County School District celebrated that launch. The new program will allow high school students to earn credits at AU, which can give them a head start in college.
Great opportunity for the students that are in high school right now to not only get the credit that they need for college, but also to get that college experience and have it in a convenient way by having the teachers and instructors from Augusta University come to the classroom where they live, if you will.
Professors will travel to all of Columbia County high schools to teach students. Students can now apply and register for fall 2023 dual enrollment courses. A school resource officer receiving the inaugural award for being the best in the role. Officer Dennis Barton works for Stevens Creek Elementary in Columbia County and won based on his safety programs and student engagement.
I can't believe I'd be recognized out of 40 officers. This was pretty good. I'm trying to make it fun for the kids, high fives, give them dab every day, go out at recess, go to lunch, eat with them. Just try to be their friend and show them that law enforcement can be a positive role model and not always bad.
Columbia County hopes to give an SRO this award every year from now on. As the war in Ukraine continues, many people there are leaning on their faith to get by. I sat down with former First Baptist pastor Dr. Roger Murkison and Alexei, who you see and hear in this video, who's a pastor on the front lines in Ukraine.
It's just like a little bit light in our dark war. Yes, it's and many in a road, and sometimes I'm sleep at the car, sometimes I'm sleep at somewhere in basement with Kellen and helmets. Yes, it's normal. Sometimes I sleep at home, but in this time I just rest.
You can listen to this full interview on our streaming app, website, and on our YouTube page. And of course, at the end, I'll show you how to do all that, as we do every day. Yesterday marks 90 years since James Brown was born. The American musician's name is hard to avoid if you live in Augusta and the surrounding area because of his impacts in the South.
I think what's cool about Mr. Brown was that he was a worldwide figure, one of the most important people, artists, you know, when you're talking about modern music. And for him to be from Augusta, you know, just makes it special. I think that, you know, we celebrate him and his accomplishments, you know, with music and pop culture in general.
This Saturday, the James Brown Get Down kicks off at 3 o'clock. There's going to be music, activities, and more. That's all in the parking lot of the Augusta Museum of History. 11 months after the tragic drowning of 4-year-old Izzy Scott, yesterday Governor Brian Kemp signed a new bill that would create safety guidelines for private swim lessons and teachers. Izzy Scott's family lost him to a drowning last year during his second ever swim lesson. Our State House reporter Abby Kasoris talked with the Scotts and a swim instructor about what they think should be included in the plan.
Israel Scott dreamed of superheroes. Now he has become one. No one in the state may have quite an impact on aquatic safety than the 4-year-old.
I still feel like he's still living somewhat, you know.
For Dory Watson, Izzy's mother, this moment means other mothers won't have to feel her pain.
I know it's a bittersweet day.
Less than a year ago, her 4-year-old son, Izzy, drowned while at a private swimming lesson.
We're still looking at pictures every day, videos every day.
The instructor who was giving the lesson when Scott drowned, Lexi Tennyson, was charged with involuntary manslaughter.
You shouldn't have to worry about, you know, something like this happening to your child.
In photos, Izzy's always playing in the water or wearing a superhero mask and a cape.
And he loves superheroes, so it's like I kind of look at it like, you know, he's being a superhero to all the kids that love water, that want to take swim, and just making it safe for them. Because
Senate Bill 107, or Izzy's Law, requires the Department of Public Health to add a safety plan for private instructors. Right now, there is none. Senator Max Burns says it fixes a major gap in Georgia law.
No other person in our state and probably our nation will have the impact on aquatic safety that Israel Scott is having and will continue to have. So
the Department of Public Health is currently coming up with that safety plan. They have until July 1st when the bill goes into effect. Izzy's family says they'd like to see another instructor present, as well as greater ratios between students and instructors. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasoris.
All right, thanks for that, Abby. A family calls for justice after their loved one was found dead and covered by bed bugs in the Fulton County Jail. LaShawn Thompson died back in September after he was unable to make bail. Attorneys for the family say the conditions in the jail were horrible, and they believe Thompson was neglected during the 3 months he was housed in the jail's psychiatric wing. Thompson's sister talked to Fulton County commissioners pleading for justice, saying no one deserves to die such a horrible death.
Because what happened to him was just horrible. And nobody shouldn't go through that. He had bugs in his eyes, his ears, his nose, and he died with his eyes open. So we want justice.
The family's attorney says no one from Fulton County has reached out to the family to offer any type of apology or any type of meeting to explain the death of LaShawn Thompson. Well, if you've ever had your car booted, you know how frustrating it can be. But Amanda Rose introduces us to a duo who call themselves the Boot Girls of Buckhead and have a unique side hustle.
Violate parking signs in Metro Atlanta and you risk getting a metal boot on your tire and paying a hefty fine. Now, 2 entrepreneurs in Buckhead say they have a solution. Pay them instead to remove the boot.
I am on to see
Meet the Boot Girls. They're wearing ski masks to remain anonymous. The best friend duo says they're saving Buckhead, one metal boot at a time.
We don't got no beef with the people that put boots on the cars, but
we gonna take it off.
We gonna take it off.
In Georgia, a private parking enforcement company can boot your car if the municipality has an ordinance to do it. They'll charge you to remove it, and if you don't pay in 24 hours, tow and impound your car. But the Boot Girls show up quickly when you reach out to them.
We talking big money, we talking big money.
They charge $50 to remove a boot, and it's all thanks to this.
It's literally so ugly, but it's magical.
They're not the only ones with a magic key. We spoke with entrepreneur Christian Verrett last year. He sells duplicates of the key online.
There's nothing unlawful about duplicating the key.
Atlanta police tell us the key is legal, but whether it's illegal to remove the boot is a little murky. You certainly can't damage or steal the boot. The Boot Girls leave it on the curb when they're done.
There are people within APD who don't want to admit that this is legal.
If your boot also came with a parking ticket, which often isn't the case, you're still responsible for that fine. But Georgia Senator Josh McLaurin, who represents North Fulton, says booting companies are predatory. He wants to ban booting entirely.
I think it's time for that. I think Georgians are ready for that.
Well, how about that? A little interesting side hustle they've got going. So if you get booted in Atlanta, you know, I know that happened to some people that went to the Taylor Swift concert last weekend. Call them up, the Boot Girls, as they're called. Okay, a big change now across the river that could make health care more affordable and accessible for South Carolinians should soon be on the governor's desk. It would repeal what's known as the Certificate of Need process, something more than a dozen other states already have. Our State House reporter Mary Green explains how this would work.
Right now, if someone wants to build or expand a hospital in South Carolina, or if an existing facility wants to purchase expensive medical equipment like an MRI machine, they have to get permission from the state through DHEC. Then other healthcare providers in that area can try to block those plans. This bill would get rid of most of that process.
I'm just glad we've gotten to a place where patients get a huge win today in the General Assembly, where we're expanding patient choice, expanding competition, expanding the marketplace for healthcare services so patients have more options at a lower cost.
If this bill becomes law, most provisions would immediately go into place and no longer require state approval. That includes building new ambulatory surgery centers and doctors' offices, repealing equipment caps for hospitals, and moving a hospital to a new facility in the same county as its current one without increasing the number of beds. It would also allow new hospitals to immediately be built in the 8 counties that currently don't have one without needing DHEC sign-off. This bill would temporarily keep in place the current approval requirement to build new hospitals in counties that already have them, but that would also be repealed in January of 2027.
But for a lot of our hospitals, it takes that long just to get permits, plans drawn up, so it's really not that long of an extended period of time when we think about the forecasting and the long-term planning that our hospitals do have to do. And this is also a model that other states have done.
The House passed this bill Wednesday, and senators just voted to agree with the changes that House members made. So this bill will soon be on Governor McMaster's desk. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
And nursing homes that want to build or expand would also have to get state permission. Lawmakers say they plan to leave that current requirement in place because the federal regulations surrounding those facilities. Title 42, oops, hang on one second. There we go. Title 42, a pandemic area policy that is meant to quickly expel border crossers. It ends in just a few days on May 11th. Yesterday, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham held a press conference urging the Biden administration to keep Title 42 in place. Graham says if the Biden administration does not keep Title 42, border states will be overwhelmed.
Democratic mayors are begging the Biden administration to change course. We're begging them to change course, and I am hoping that our message will get through, but time will tell.
Senator Graham says he's not against immigration, but says it must happen through the proper channels. The Biden administration says it's working to reduce illegal crossings and will stiffen penalties for illegal entry. The Parker's Corporation, which owns convenience stores, wants to have the company dismissed from the wrongful death lawsuit filed on the behalf of the family of Mallory Beach, arguing that it has no liability. Parker's is the store where Paul Murdaugh bought alcohol on February 23rd, 2019. Nick Neville tells us attorneys for Parker's argue it was a legal alcohol sale because Paul used his brother Buster's valid ID. According to SLED and the passengers on the boat, they also say the passengers on the boat, including Mallory Beach, knowingly made decisions to get on the boat with a known drunk driver.
Attorney P.K. Scheer for Parker's argued before Judge Daniel Hall that all the passengers knew about Paul's propensity to drink heavily.
That dangerous condition being getting on a boat with no lights, no life jacket, on a cold, foggy night with someone who you know has had a history of drinking in excess.
He also says the suit should be dropped because SLED didn't charge the company. Tinsley says that factor is not relevant and would likely not come before a jury in this civil case because it's highly prejudicial. The company denying negligence in the sale as well. Parker says the clerk who sold the alcohol did not knowingly sell to someone who was underage because Paul used his brother Buster's valid ID. But Tinsley argues that the clerk did not do her due diligence in checking to see that the person before her matched the ID.
The policies specifically indicate how much training she's going to receive, and there are blanks in her personnel file for those things to be filled in. When the training was achieved, who supervised it, none of that's in her personnel file. It's absent from that.
Now, a judge did not rule on the motion, but says he plans to make a decision sometime before May 26th. So within the next 3 weeks or so, we should have more information there. A rare area of agreement, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are supporting internet guardrails for young people. Nicole Killian introduces us to a Texas teenager who survived cyberbullying and a new law aiming to protect her and other young people online.
Like many teens, 14-year-old Jasmine Hernandez uses social media. But last year, the Texas student became a victim of racist cyberbullying.
It was a lot of cyberbullying with pictures of me imposed on someone hanging on a tree or the KKK surrounding someone burning on a cross.
Jasmine missed school for 3 weeks and spent the rest of the year in counseling.
One of the things that the licensed school professional counselor said was if she did not have the faith that she had, she would have committed suicide. That's major to me. This is my baby we're talking about.
It's families like the Hernandezes that Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal and Tennessee Republican Marsha Blackburn hope to impact with the reintroduction of the Kids Online Safety Act in the Senate.
Why were you able to connect around this piece of legislation?
First and foremost, we're both parents.
It may be at one of my grandkids' ball games, and parents will come up and they'll say, you know, I saw something online.
Their bill would give parents new controls to identify harmful behavior and report negative content. It would also require social media companies provide options for minors to protect their information and disable addictive features.
There would be a responsibility on these platforms to monitor what is there, things that cause self-harm.
According to a recent CDC survey, nearly 1 in 3 teen girls seriously considered suicide. And the senators also point to studies showing teen depression doubled over the past decade.
We're in the midst of a mental health crisis, and moms are coming forward and saying big tech is aggravating and exacerbating, in fact, profiting from driving toxic content at kids.
TikTok says its guidelines don't allow content that could lead to suicide, self-harm, or unhealthy eating behaviors. Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, told CBS News, "We've developed more than 30 tools to support families and will continue evaluating proposed legislation." While Snap said, "We offer extra protections for Snapchatters aged 13 to 17 and will continue our work with policymakers."
This is one of several bills targeting social media. That's an issue that's increasingly finding agreement between Democrats and Republicans, keeping kids safe there. An argument ends with a vote to kick a woman off a plane. It happened on a Frontier flight from Trenton, New Jersey to Atlanta. John Paul has the story.
So mind your business.
The video posted to TikTok shows a full-blown argument between passengers on board a Frontier Airlines flight. At one point, a man even throws money at another passenger. A passenger says that a couple argued with the flight attendant over a seat before being removed. All this unfolded as the plane bound for Atlanta sat on the tarmac on Monday afternoon. Ground crew members in orange vests eventually pulled the couple off, and watch what happens next. Other passengers take a vote on throwing a third person off the plane who they were arguing with.
If you want her removed from the flight, please raise your hand.
She was eventually removed by a man who said the airline can't have fighting at 30,000 feet. We reached out to Mercer County today. They did not respond to a disturbance and say no charges were filed. We are waiting to hear back from Frontier. In recent weeks, we've reported on a number of issues on flights, including a man who threw punches at the crew on a flight to San Francisco on Monday. According to the FAA, there have been 586 reports of unruly passengers so far this year. Passengers on this flight were left wondering why police didn't respond.
I want to know why these regular people is on here telling these people to get off this plane. Because where is the police?
Well, you're at Trent Mercer Airport.
Yeah, it was 15 of them at the door.
When the police don't show, leave it to the good people of New Jersey and Atlanta to come together and handle business, getting those folks off the flight, those unruly passengers. Never understood causing a ruckus on a flight. You're just going to get thrown on some sort of no-fly list, and then you can't go anywhere, and you got to drive everywhere. Doesn't sound fun. Okay, moving on here. Let's keep it with a nicer plane story now. Talk about a leg workout. Yesterday, hundreds of Delta employees literally pulled their weight to raise money for cancer research. Madeline Montgomery shows us the amazing energy these workers brought to the runway.
A workout unlike any other.
Got my gloves. You have to have your anchor, and they do the heavy pull at the end, and the rest of us just pull with all our might.
Delta employees' jobs are usually to put these planes in the sky, but today they are staying grounded for a cause.
I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm. We've got Delta employees flying in from all over the country for, to me, the most worthy cause of all, to eradicate cancer.
This is the airline's 12th annual Jet Drag, raising money for the American Cancer Society.
We very much believe that we can improve lives through research, advocacy, and patient support.
Teams of 25 pull a 255,000-pound Boeing 757 25 feet.
It is crazy, and your adrenaline is just pumping. So when you get out there, I mean, for safety purposes, we warm up, but your adrenaline carries it. It's a lot of fun.
While it's a lot harder than a squat or a leg press, thousands of Delta employees fly in from all over the country to be a part of this day.
Cancer really does touch everyone. I am a two-time cancer survivor, and everyone here has a special story, whether it's themselves, whether it's a loved one, a friend.
Over their 20-year partnership with the American Cancer Society, Delta has raised over $16 million.
This is incredible. I love seeing my team and the Delta team here side by side pulling for a great cause.
And all that legwork paid off. The group is set to bring in more than $1 million for the American Cancer Society. Okay, let's give an update to the Texas suspect here. The man accused of killing 5 people in Cleveland, Texas last Friday was captured following a days-long manhunt. The suspect was arrested in a house just miles from where the shootings took place, authorities said. Police also arrested other people suspected of helping Francisco Oropeza's getaway. Gloria Pazmino has the story.
This is an unspeakable murder, unspeakable tragedy, but Mr. Oropeza will be held accountable.
Hiding in a closet underneath some laundry. That's how police say they found Francisco Oropeza, the man accused of killing 5 people, including a 9-year-old child, in Cleveland, Texas last Friday.
He's in this jail right here.
Witnesses say Oropeza opened fire after neighbors asked him to stop shooting his rifle near their home. After refusing, the man charged into his neighbor's home, killing 4 adults and a child. Oropeza, a 38-year-old Mexican national, is being held on 5 counts of murder with bond set at $5 million.
We just want to thank the person who had the courage and bravery to call in the suspect's location.
Police also arrested a woman who lived and shared a child with the suspect. Divimara Lamar Nava was arrested Tuesday and is facing charges of hindering the apprehension and detention of a known felon.
What we believe that Ms. Nava was doing is that she was providing him with material aid and encouragement, food, clothes, and had arranged transport to this house.
A second person was arrested under suspicion of helping Oropesa escape the neighborhood where the shooting took place. The suspects are expected to meet with the judge Wednesday to review charges and the terms of their detention.
I want to be able to look that family in the eyes and say that justice was done at the end of this.
I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
Officials are now considering upgrading the charges against Oropesa to capital murder. Interest rates are on the rise again. The Federal Reserve hiked them 1/4 point yesterday. It's the 10th rate increase since the central bank started its battle against inflation last March. Mike Valerio reports.
It's decision day once again for the Federal Reserve.
Without price stability, the economy does not work for anyone. Today, the FOMC raised its policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point.
That announcement comes just 2 days after the collapse of First Republic Bank, the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history, prompting concerns from some economists that the Fed is moving too aggressively in its ongoing effort to fight inflation.
You can't reverse that overnight, and it's better to hold a steady course and hit pause, assess, and keep ratcheting up these interest rate increases.
Taming inflation remains the Fed's top priority. Raising interest rates allows it to intentionally slow parts of the economy by making it more expensive for banks to borrow money. That cost then gets passed on to the consumer.
If you got a personal loan, you're going to see your rate go up. A home equity line of credit, you'll see your rate go up. And of course, if you need to borrow money for anything like a new car, you're going to have to pay a lot more.
Speaking after a 2-day policy meeting, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell offered clues on whether additional rate increases are likely in the months ahead.
This kind of move could affect everything, as you heard, your mortgage, your car loans, your credit cards. So it's something that we could all feel the effects of here pretty soon. Yesterday was World Maternal Mental Health Day. The goal was to raise awareness for the mental health disorders women experience during and after pregnancy. Experts say most people suffer in silence because they don't know what they're going through is common and treatable. Danya Backus has more.
Show your brother how you jump.
Claudia Duvall was excited about becoming a first-time mother, but during her pregnancy, she started having intrusive thoughts.
I had extreme fear.
The thoughts continued after her daughter was born.
I just felt really low. I'm like, how can I show up for this small little person? I can barely get out of bed. I cry all the time.
Claudia reached out to a maternal mental health therapist and found she was experiencing symptoms of postpartum anxiety, depression, and obsessive compulsive disorder.
Perinatal mental health disorders is the most common complication of childbirth. We rarely talk about it, and people going through it are really embarrassed, devastated.
Wendy Davis is the executive director of Postpartum Support International. She says perinatal mental health disorders are more than the baby blues or postpartum depression.
It's depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, trauma, and also bipolar disorders and psychosis.
1 in 5 women and 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety during or after pregnancy. Perinatal mental health disorders affect 800,000 people, but research shows only 25% receive treatment.
There is support available.
Claudia combined her weekly therapy appointments with group support and medication. She says she was better prepared for her son.
Get help, just reach out. I know it's so scary to be vulnerable, but you're gonna survive this.
She wants to reduce the stigma and help others get the help they may need. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Postpartum International offers peer support and help finding resources. Pregnant and postpartum parents can call or text HELP to the PSI line for support or visit postpartum.net. Newly released numbers lay out the staggering toll of drug overdose deaths in the U.S. They rose to record levels during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's in a report released by the CDC yesterday. Fentanyl was much more likely to be involved in deadly overdoses compared to other common drugs. In 2021, nearly 70,000 people in the U.S. died of a drug overdose involving fentanyl. That was almost a four-fold increase over just 5 years. The drug can be 100 times more powerful than morphine, and in most recent cases, overdoses and deaths in the U.S. were linked to illegally made fentanyl. One wrong step and it could cost you your health. That's the allegation detailed in a College Park, Georgia police report. A Georgia mom was hospitalized for days after getting butt injection. Sierra Cummings, went to figure out why.
I was shaking. I was crying so terribly. The nurse was like, calm down. I was just like, what have I done to myself?
The injuries are too graphic to show, but the images offer a blurry look at the price of pretty. October 2022, Shantia Cooley saw injections for the perfect bum. The 49-year-old did not want it bigger, just smoother.
Would this help me with the cellulite? Injecting it here?
After the procedure, not only was she still left with the cellulite, but the mom had issues much worse.
Henry County 911. My mom, she just recently had surgery on her butt, and it looks infected, and she can't walk or anything.
Medical records detail Piedmont Henry doctors found sepsis in her bloodstream. Sepsis can lead to organ failure and death. Shantia recalls the doctor determined the cause, butt injections gone wrong.
They kept me. I stayed in the hospital for a week, actually.
Texan Payment Plans confirmed she got the procedure done by Von Seal Daniel at Chaotic Von Beauty Bar. The College Park business advertises medical procedures from bum fillers to lipo. But according to state records, the business and its owner have no medical license.
So I guess that explains why I ended up in the hospital.
In Georgia, it is a felony crime to perform unlicensed medical work. Adding insult, board licensed plastic surgeon Dr. Nirav Patel explains
Peel Pack label has an expiration date.
In order to even get these FDA-approved injectables, you have to be credentialed, meaning unlicensed workers often rely on black market or altered product. Shantia believes she was getting hyaluronic acid filler in her bum. Dr. Patel argues it's unlikely.
It's a combination of blood, possibly pus or like infected fluid. So that's not normal at all, the typical inflammation that one mounts when you have fake stuff injected.
Data from the National Institute of Health illustrates a 25% death rate and a 50% hospitalization rate for injection injuries by unlicensed providers. But the agency notes the number is likely significantly underreported. After Atlanta News First started asking questions, the Georgia Medical Composite Board opened an investigation. As a regulatory agency, it typically suspends or revokes licenses, but enforcement gets complicated when a facility does not have a medical license to begin with, like the case of Chaotic Von Beauty, where allegations remain twofold. The owner offers the medical services here locally while also offering sessions across the country to train others. When we reached out to Von Seal Daniel about the allegations, the owner's only reply, can you provide the names of the consumers?
Miss Vaughn?
After she stopped responding, we showed up to the business. It appeared empty inside. So we called.
We want to talk to Miss Von Seal because there's no record that she has a medical license, yet she's offering medical services.
The owner claimed she was an esthetician, that she was transferring her Florida license to Georgia. When we told her she needed an actual medical license to perform this work, she claimed she had nurses on staff. Atlanta News First found no documentation to substantiate any of it.
Okay. Well, she hung up.
As for Shantia, she cautions others to do what she did not.
Be aware and be careful and do your research a little bit more, like I maybe should have did.
So what are the big takeaways here? Injections, body enhancement, surgeries, all of that must be done by a medical professional. You could actually look up to see if a professional is licensed on the state medical board website. If they're not licensed, you can also file a complaint on that same website. After state investigations, the medical board typically gets the local district attorney and local law enforcement involved. We're going to keep you updated on this case.
Thanks for that, Sierra. News 12 alum Sierra Cummings there. Well, you've seen the ads about Camp Lejeune class action you've seen the ads about the Camp Lejeune class action lawsuit for military families and their families, military veterans and their families exposed to bad water at the base. Now experts say scammers are trying to take advantage of the exposure the case is getting. Consumer investigator Carice Jackman spoke with the Better Business Bureau on where to find accurate information.
We're so used to it happening to more vulnerable and elderly people, but now it's happening, with younger people.
Kedra O'Neill understands how damaging fraud can be after falling victim to identity theft a few years ago.
They're getting very smart with their ways of, conning people.
So when this email recently showed up in her inbox saying she was eligible for compensation at Camp Lejeune, a Marine base hundreds of miles away from her home, she knew it was a fake.
They were saying that I won money out of a settlement. I was included in a class action lawsuit. And I'm like, how was my name being pulled in a class action lawsuit? Like, it was ridiculous.
O'Neill says she never even served in the Marines. She told the scammer to leave her alone. But the emails continued, with the fraudster asking for her personal information.
I feel like for you to toy with people's emotions is very disrespectful and unwarranted. And I really think that they should, be prosecuted to the fullest extent.
And according to the BBB, O'Neill wasn't the only person receiving these phony emails from scammers looking to capitalize on a legitimate legal case.
Scammers have latched onto legitimate operations, legitimate opportunities, and weaponize them.
Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau says oftentimes these emails contain a link that, if clicked, will download malware onto your device. In other cases, scammers may direct you to a malicious website that asks for your personal information or an upfront fee before you receive your money. Planos says if you served in the Marines at Camp Lejeune during a certain time period, you are eligible for compensation. But this random email is not the way you'll get it.
If you are going to pursue a class action lawsuit, or if you're going to pursue any sort of payout opportunity, you should apply through its official channel if you feel that you are deserving of compensation.
That official channel is va.gov/Camp Lejeune. Planos also says compensation in class action lawsuits often take time. So if someone offers you a quick settlement, don't believe it.
Anytime you receive unsolicited communication, ask yourself why you are receiving it before you move forward in any way, shape, or form.
O'Neill hopes by speaking out, others will know not to fall for this settlement scheme.
Don't just block the calls like I did. Honey, contact the FCC, Better Business Bureau, because the more times that they're reported, the better that they can get a handle on this.
With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
Well, yesterday we talked about some Mother's Day gadget gifts, if you haven't gotten your mom a gift yet. And today we are taking a look at some more. Our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker has that.
This first gadget's not just for moms, but for anyone who sits at a desk and has to keep reheating the same cup of coffee. The Ember mug keeps hot drinks hot. The handsome coffee mug gets a charge from this coaster, but it doesn't have to sit there like some other warming cups. Check this out. No matter where you take the mug, it keeps coffee or tea hot. Using the Ember app, she can select exactly how hot she wants it. 142 degrees, perfect for sipping. The Ember mug keeps it at exactly 142 degrees for about an hour and a half. It also has a tea timer. The Ember Smart Mug is hand washing safe. If mom has a pet, she's going to get a kick out of this pet robot. The U-Pet for dogs and cats is for their entertainment. Yeah, right. A companion for when you're not at home. The U-Pet has a camera, microphone, and a speaker so you can check in on them when you're away. My cat loved the laser pointer, and you know how cats are. You control the robot with the app. It'll take photos, record video, and this button dispenses treats. Standby power for 15 days so you can check in when you're on vacation. A portable Bluetooth speaker is good for the home office or out in the garden. The Soundcore Motion Plus offers some of the best sound and bass of any Bluetooth speaker under $100. The battery lasts about 12 hours, super portable. Or if she's always on the move, the Soundcore frame sunglasses have 4 speakers so she can listen to music and talk on the phone hands-free. The speakers and microphones are in the arms, and she can swap out the frames for her own style, and there are lots to choose from. The open-ear design means she can listen to music and still hear things around her. Not only will these tech gadgets be her favorite gift this year, you may actually be her favorite. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
All right, some pretty good stuff right there. We're a couple days away now from the Kentucky Derby, and Churchill Downs is wrapping up their final preps. Millions tune in every year for the race, and some trainers here at home have their eyes on the Derby trophy too. It's the longest running sporting event, and the field is limited to only 20 horses, so the cut is tough. Our Alyssa Lyons talked to a longtime trainer in Aiken about what it takes to win the coveted Blanket of Roses.
The Kentucky Derby is the greatest 2 minutes in sports, and while it's short, it is the pinnacle of so many trainers' career. Imagine getting to reach that moment 8 times over.
This one's daddy did run in the Kentucky Derby. The hands are old, and I'm a little slower, but I'm still here.
Ron Stevens was never planning to be here.
I got a degree in education thinking I could have the summers to play with the horses, and I started racing some of the horses. Sorry, you can finish your lunch in a minute. I quit my teaching job. My wife quit a good government job. We went to the racetrack. All right, big boy.
He turned a hobby into a life.
It would be my job to try and decide which horses might be Derby candidates and need to go to the top trainers at the top tracks, and which ones need to go somewhere where they could just make a living. The thing that really got us going was probably Summer Squall. He was an undefeated 2-year-old. He should have and could have won the Derby, and he competed against Unbridled, and we ran 6 times against him and beat him 4 times.
Me in the red jacket and my wife in the white there.
When he went to the front coming out of the turn and 100,000 screaming people got his attention, he looked at him and Unbridled went by him and he couldn't get going again and win it.
There was Willenda, Smilin' Singin' Sam, Jack Flash.
The town would wear green and yellow on the Derby day that we were running one of these horses.
Impeachment, Trippy, Limehouse, and Palace Malice.
We would be replaced with computers if they could figure out how big the heart is, how much try they have, how determined they're going to be.
Almost as determined as their trainer.
We've won the Preakness and the Belmont, but we have not won the Derby yet. We say yet because it's always a dream.
In Aiken, Alyssa Lyons on her side.
And hopefully they can achieve that dream coming up here in the next few years. All right, the North Augusta baseball team is into the 2nd round of state playoffs, and the Greenbrier girls soccer team pursues perfection. Dan Booth has sports.
Good morning, everyone. The South Carolina high school baseball playoffs are raging on, and North Augusta had another opportunity to move one step closer to their goal of winning a state championship. Let's get over to Riverview Park, where the Yellow Jackets had their hands full in their 2nd round matchup. We had a little bit of a pitcher's duel early on. In the top of the 3rd, Braden Stone is on the mound for North Augusta. The Warriors are threatening with a runner on 2nd. He tries to steal 3rd, but catcher Briggs Watkins says not today. That laser ends the side. Next half inning, we've got a 2-2 ball game, and Isaiah Trull is hoping to put an end to that with this blooper right here down the right field line. It stays in, and the Yellow Jackets third baseman has a stand-up double. That set the stage for Evan Waldauer, who smashes this ball into right. Trull is going to come around to score here after creating some space in the later innings. North Augusta went on to win 10-3. With one more game left to play, the Greenbrier girls soccer team is knocking on the door of perfection at 19-0. The resume the Wolfpack has built this season is impressive to say the least, including 15 shutouts and having outscored their opponents by a total of 130 goals. I hope that provides some context to just how dominant Greenbrier has been throughout the year and how much chemistry this young, talented group has.
We're like sisters and we have that bond, but we also know when we get on the field, we turn on, and that's how we play. And it's just a great environment, and I love all the girls that I play with.
They know that they have to continue to perform at their best and that they have to stick together as a team, and they know that they have to remain humble, but they've started gaining confidence little by little, and that's been really exciting to see.
Later on tonight, I'll have live coverage of Greenbrier's showdown with Chambly in the Class 5A state championship game from Duluth High School. The match begins at 5 o'clock. That's it for sports. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, thanks, Dan. Should be a great game. Looking forward to it. All right, let's finish up with our main man, Will Volk here. Earlier this year, the Georgia Cancer Center started its mobile lab program, bringing science to students. Now students from A.R. Johnson Magnet School are learning more about cancer and how it develops. Will Volk stopped by to learn more about the program.
Students are putting on their lab coats because the lab is coming to them.
We have all this equipment that we bring with us. Schools don't usually have this kind of equipment. It's the same kinds of things that we use in our research labs over at the Cancer Center.
Rhea Beth Markowitz says the Georgia Cancer Center plans to bring its new mobile lab to classrooms across the area.
We don't have some of this equipment here at the school, so it introduces them to things like that.
Healthcare science teacher Brandy Harris says the Cancer Center offered to bring its lab to her class.
We are going to do a test.
A.R. Johnson is one of the first schools in our area to experience this.
We love bringing in folks from the community and providing these activities for our kids to enhance their learning.
You insert your pipette.
Markowitz wants students to fall in love with this career field. She says they don't even have to leave town to pursue it.
They could spend their whole careers here in Augusta if they want.
Today, students are working with real samples in the mobile lab.
They're getting a hands-on research experience.
And Markowitz hopes one day they'll be doing the same thing in the real lab. In Augusta, Will Volk on your side.
And the Cancer Center plans on bringing that lab to 2 schools a month starting next year. And of course, you can find out about these stories and much more over on our website, WRDW.com. If you're watching this on the website, be sure to download our streaming app. You can do that on your Roku, your Fire Stick, your Apple TV, whatever your favorite streaming device is. Just search WRDW on there, and it is free to download. That'll give you all of our I-Team investigations, first alert forecasts, sports coverage, live newscasts. Everything that you're going to want is going to be up there on the streaming app. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's right here. You search WRDW News 12. And it's this first one here. You just click subscribe right there, and that'll give you everything. Same stuff on the streaming app. As you see, we're live right now. And also just some shorter videos. So if you don't have time for a full 30-minute newscast, you can just check out the YouTube channel. We have a little bit more condensed things on there for you. Okay, that is going to wrap it up this morning for our top headlines. You got about 4 minutes to get over to the TV side of things because we've got Morning Mix coming up here. Cliff and Natalia are dressed up as Star Wars characters, and they have lightsabers because it is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. So you definitely do not want to miss that. They look kind of ridiculous, but they look awesome too. So check that out over on the TV side, and we'll be back here with some more News 12 Now a little bit later on this morning.